The latest trends today is showing more snow than sleet or ice for Portland, but the further south in the Willamette Valley you go, it looks like sleet and ice is becoming more likely as we're going up to our main course here. I'm meteorologist Tana Sleet coming at you with this update, and as always, here are the National Weather Service's watches and warnings. There is a cold weather advisory up for this morning and tonight into tomorrow morning as well for their entire area of responsibility, with the exception of the Columbia River Gorge and the Hood River Valley, which is under an extreme cold warning due to wind chills that could get as low as about 0 degrees. So that is caused by the east wind that is starting to ramp up through the Columbia River Gorge. The eastern half of the Portland metro area will really feel those wind chills tom- tonight into tomorrow morning. Now, onto our setup for this event, and pretty much unchanged compared to what I had yesterday. A low pressure system will slide towards our coast tomorrow. And on yesterday's video, I did note that there was really two camps. The first is this low pressure system would stall, drift to the north, and then just slowly die. Or the other camp was this plowing further east in a more classic-like pattern. And I went for a more hybrid solution where it would stall, drift northward for a little bit, and then eventually plow to the east. That appears to be what's going to happen. And what that will do is that low pressure system initially, as it's stalled on Thursday morning, will bring warmer temperatures in the middle of the atmosphere, especially in the central and southern Willamette Valley. The Portland metro area will be more protected due to the colder easterly winds coming out of the Columbia River Gorge. And because that low pressure system is south of the Portland metro area, I anticipate that colder easterly winds to win out in the middle atmosphere compared to that warmer southerly winds. Now, as that goes into Friday morning, what will happen is that trends will reverse. So instead of the winds coming out of the south, the winds will come out of the north. So what that will mean is that will cool down the middle of the atmosphere and promote a change back to snow from areas that saw sleet or a quick transition over to freezing rain, though some areas will probably still be in an icy mess. So let's move on to our forecast notes. So, as I alluded to at the title, the freezing rain slash snow line has been trending south with the latest model runs, and more precipitation also appears available as well. Though I would say it does not look like anything like February 22nd, 2023, where 10 to 12 inches appears possible. No, I'm not seeing anything like that. Initial wave on Thursday, snow to sleet in Portland or sleet to freezing rain in Eugene. And I really think that most areas will see primarily snowed north of the Columbia River. South of the Columbia River, I think a brief transition to sleet is possible as precipitation is dying down. The other change is that Thursday morning looks to be more in play. So that is increasing the snow totals and decreasing the sleet and freezing rain totals, which is leading to that freezing rain and snow line trending southwards. Second wave on Friday morning, primarily snow for most except the southeast Willamette Valley. Again, I've mentioned this last couple of videos. This is a backdoor cold snap, which means cold east winds and wind chills down into the single digits, especially closer to the Columbia River Gorge. And then models do tend to scour out the cold air in the Portland area too quickly in these patterns. And I don't see a significant southerly wind push until Sunday for the Portland area. For the South Willamette Valley, yeah, I do see that a little bit earlier on Saturday morning. So, on to our expected snow and sleet totals. So, for the Willamette Valley in general, you're more likely to see snow the further west you go. So, in the southern Willamette Valley, on the west half, I'm expecting a trace to 2 inches, but on the eastern half of the Willamette the valley, I'm anticipating primarily freezing rain. Half of an inch is the extreme, and I think about 35 hundredths of an inch is more likely, as I'll show you on the expected ice totals. Now, the further you go north, the more likely it is you see snow as well. So, 1 to 4 inches is expected in the central Willamette Valley and the Columbia River Gorge and the eastern half of the Portland metro area. The eastern half of the Portland metro area, while I am anticipating is primarily snow and sleet, I do anticipate that that cold east winds eats up at some of the moisture because of how dry that is. But as we get further towards the western half of the metro area, that easterly winds becomes less of a concern in terms of the top end strength because, for instance, if gusts are, say, 40 miles per hour in Troutdale, they'll probably be closer to about 20 once they hit Beaverton. So as a result, I'm going for more snow in Washington County, with the exception of the typical warm tongue areas of Tigard, Tualatin, and Wilsonville. So about 2 to 5 inches is what I'm expecting. That's also what I'm expecting for the Coast Range, as a lot of the Coast Range valleys will also be in some freezing rain as well. I'm also expecting that for Clark County and the lower Columbia River Basin. Then this little sliver here is another 1 to 3 inch lobe that goes up to the Puget Sound, and for the Cascades, anywhere from about 3 to 12 inches, depending on your elevation. So, moving on to a little bit more of a zoomed in look at Eugene here, because it's a little bit tough, unlike Portland, to see where I'm drawing the dividing line. And that's because cold air can dam up more on the western half of the valley than the eastern half. So as a result, if you are west of about a line approximate to the Willamette River running north-south, I'm anticipating a higher chance of snow and sleet. But if you are east of there, I'm anticipating primarily freezing rain there. As a disclaimer, because I know Eugene got hit the worst on last year's ice storm, this is not going to be anywhere near that. So this is my expected ice totals. For most of the Willamette Valley, about 35 hundredths of an inch at the most. Some areas may not even receive any freezing rain and just see sleet. For the Portland area, I expect it to really only be south of the Columbia River and no more than about 15 hundredths of an inch. Really, I think it's more likely this area stays as sleet. I just can't rule it out, hence why I'm putting it on here. The extreme end would be about half of an inch, but I think that's in isolated spots and only in the areas seen on red here on our snow totals map. So, with that being said, let's move on to our timeline. And we will start with the Corvallis version of the timeline. So temperatures today will hover right around 40 before quickly dropping into the low 30s and the upper 20s by the time the snow rolls in before the morning commute. Now, for Corvallis proper, I am predicting some snow to start before quick transition over to sleet. Again, for areas further to the east, it's more likely you see freezing rain. So like Albany, for example, I think will start as sleet. Eugene, refer to the map for what I believe your precipitation form will be. So temperatures will remain steady right around the freezing mark as this precipitation falls, and then as precipitation chances die off later in the day, it'll slowly creep above freezing the further down south in the valley you go, with the high temperature in the mid 30s right around sundown. And for the Portland area, temperatures again a titch below 40 for today before quickly dropping. I'm anticipating the snow will arrive in the Portland area at the tail end of the morning commute to about 9 in the morning. High temperature will be pretty early in the day, I'm anticipating around 33 degrees before cooling off as we go on throughout the day. And while for the main portion of the day, I am anticipating primarily snow, as the chances of precipitation go down and it transitions into a little bit more of a showery in nature between wave 1 and wave 2, that is when we could see some more sleet or brief periods of freezing rain in isolated pockets. So, on to our 7-day forecast for the southern Willamette Valley. First off, temperatures will quickly rebound after 1 day of wintry mischief, with high temperatures back around 40 degrees on Friday with decreasing snow to rain showers. And on Saturday, PM rain with high temperatures in the mid 40s before warming back up to around normal conditions on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and low temperatures follow suit by starting in the upper 20s before quickly ramping up into the low to mid 40s. For the Portland metro area, I'm anticipating about 4 days in a row below 40 degrees with PM rain occurring on Saturday. I cannot rule out some freezing rain to start, especially closer to the Columbia River Gorge. And as we go into Sunday, that will transition fully over into rain. Though if the models delay any further on the retreat of this air, we could see some freezing rain in pockets near the Columbia River Gorge. And then temperatures rebound fully on Monday and Tuesday with highs much closer to normal, and lows follow suit as well. So that's going to be it for today's video. I will do the last second video tomorrow for any last second snow changes, or if there's another surprise with the forecast, as there always seems to be with these wintry events. So until then, I'll talk to you all then. Until then, stay safe and take care.